Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something pretty universal, loneliness. But we're coming at it from maybe a slightly different angle. We're zooming out.
Right.
We've been digging through research, psychology, public health, even urban planning.
Quite a mix.
Yeah, to explore this really interesting question. Could the way our cities are actually designed be affecting how connected or, well, disconnected we feel?
It's a really fascinating way to look at what often feels like such a personal thing, doesn't it? Loneliness.
Totally.
It's so easy to think of it as, my problem, something I need to fix myself.
Right.
But the research we've looked at, it really suggests our surroundings, the environment, plays a pretty significant role.
And it's not just about feeling sad, is it? The health links are quite startling.
Oh, absolutely. Studies consistently link chronic loneliness to actual physical health problems. We're talking like higher rates of heart disease, issues with the immune system. It's serious stuff.
Which makes understanding these environmental factors even more important.
Exactly. It elevates it beyond just an emotional issue.
So our goal today is to unpack how these structures around us, our homes, streets, parks, might be, maybe accidentally, either helping us build connections or actually putting up barriers.
Invisible walls, almost.
Yeah. And it's such a paradox, isn't it? Being in a massive city, surrounded by people, but feeling completely alone.
It really is. And the feeling seems particularly common for younger people moving to cities trying to find their feet.
Definitely. There's such a difference between just being alone and that deeper feeling, that ache of loneliness.
Indeed. And the research we looked into really picks up on that, especially for young adults, maybe 18 to 34-ish.
Okay.
Often they're moving for uni or for their first big job, and they're juggling so much new city, new people, work stress.
While maybe being miles away from family and old friends.
Precisely. All those things happening at once can really make someone more vulnerable to feeling isolated.
Okay, so let's really get into this connection between our physical world and, how connected we feel. The research is pretty clear that the places we live, work, hang out, they're not just passive backdrops.
No, not at all. They actively offer chances for us to interact. Or they can block those chances.
But it's not deterministic.
Right.
The environment offers possibilities, but how we react is individual.
Absolutely crucial point. Everyone responds differently. What one person sees as an opportunity, another might not.
So you mentioned looking at a lot of studies.
We did. It started with something like over 7,000 papers. A huge trawl.
Wow.
Yeah, and we really focused in on 57 that directly linked loneliness and the built environment.
And what sorts of things did they look at?
Oh, a really wide range. Everything from like whole neighborhood design, housing quality, down to public spaces, transport systems, even access to parks and nature.
And these things can make a real difference in everyday life, like little moments.
Totally. Think about just chatting with a neighbor over the fence or bumping into someone at a community event. The built environment can either create the stage for those things to happen naturally or not.
Or make them less likely, yeah.
But as we found, it's complex. It's not just build a park, cure loneliness.
Right.
The potential is there because of the design, the structure, but it also depends on individual factors. Does someone actually use the park? Do they talk to people?
So it's a mix of the place and the person.
Exactly. It's this interplay between the environmental opportunity and individual agency, whether someone takes that opportunity.
Okay, let's dive into some specifics then. What aspects of the built environment really stood out in the research? Housing, for example.
Yes, housing came up quite a bit. Living in, say, small or poorly maintained apartments seems linked to increased loneliness.
How so? Is it just about not having space for guests?
That can be part of it, definitely, feeling like you can't comfortably have people over. But it's also, interestingly, about perception sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah, some studies hinted that even if the space is okay, feeling like it's too small or inadequate, maybe based on what you think society expects for hosting.
Ah, I see.
That feeling itself can contribute to isolation. Plus, just the general stress of living in subpar conditions can wear you down and make you feel disconnected.
That makes sense. What about things outside the home, like community centers or green spaces?
Hugely important. Access to places like that, community hubs and natural areas, it facilitates both the planned stuff like joining a class and also those unplanned spontaneous interactions, just seeing familiar faces, saying hello, chance encounters.
They're like social infrastructure, really.
That's a great way to put it. They provide this neutral ground for connection. shared spaces.
And transport. How does getting around fit in?
Transport was really significant. It's not just about A to B.
Right.
Good access to places combined with good options for getting there, especially walking, cycling, or even decent public transport, seems to protect against loneliness.
More so than driving.
Well, think about it. When you're walking or on a bus, you're just more likely to have those small, casual interactions. Eye contact, a quick word.
Compared to being sealed in your car.
Exactly. So while cars offer convenience, they might also sort of reduce those opportunities for spontaneous social connection that help build community feeling.
That's a really interesting trade-off. And safety. I imagine that plays a big role too.
Oh, massive. Feeling safe in your neighborhood, safe from crime, from traffic, even from pollution, it encourages you to be out and about.
To walk around, explore.
Precisely. And when people are out walking, using local spaces, it just naturally leads to more chances to interact, to feel part of things, builds that sense of belonging.
Belonging. That came up too, didn't it? Along with being able to personalize your space.
Yes, those more psychological aspects are key. Feeling you can make your mark on your home, make it feel like yours. And also feeling like you fit in, that you identify with your neighbors or your area. That seems to really buffer against loneliness. It creates a sense of shared identity.
Okay, so we've got housing, access, transport, safety, belonging. What about factors that are maybe less about the physical design itself, but still tied to place, like money?
Socioeconomic status. Yes, that was a really significant underlying theme. Economic inequality can really deepen the cracks when it comes to loneliness and the built environment.
How does that work?
Well, multiple ways. For instance, think about housing tenure. Renters often have less freedom to personalize their homes compared to owners.
Right, less investment in the space?
Maybe. And then income itself. Lower incomes can obviously limit where you can afford to live.
Meaning you might end up far from friends, family, support networks.
Exactly. Or maybe in neighborhoods where you feel less accepted or that face more social challenges. And often these same areas are underserved.
Underserved.
Yeah, less reliable public transport, fewer well-kept parks, maybe fewer decent public spaces where people can gather. It's like the physical environment reflects and even amplifies those economic inequalities.
Creating a kind of environmental injustice.
That's a good term for it. It can definitely contribute to social isolation for those with fewer resources.
Let's shift focus slightly back to those young people we mentioned earlier, the 18 to 34 group moving to cities. The sources highlighted some specific vulnerabilities for them.
Yes, that transition phase. It's a lot. New city, finding your way, building a whole new social circle from scratch, often while dealing with demanding studies or new job pressures.
Being away from home base.
Right. That geographical separation from existing support systems can leave people feeling adrift, increasing that risk of loneliness.
And work culture plays into this too. The pressure to be busy all the time.
It seems so. This kind of intense focus on productivity, being always on, can really eat into the time and just the sheer energy needed to build and maintain social ties outside of work.
It's a bit of a trap.
It can be.
Yeah.
There's this paradox where we're pushed towards individual achievement, which can sometimes lead to isolation. And some research even hints that people feeling lonely might throw themselves more into work.
As a coping mechanism.
Potentially, yeah. A way to feel productive or connected in at least one sphere, even if it further isolates them socially.
And what about technology? We're more connected than ever, technically. Does that help or hinder?
The double-edged sword. Technology is amazing for staying in touch across distances, no doubt, but it just can't fully replace that face-to-face, in-person interaction, that sense of shared physical space. And, it also makes it really easy to spend time alone, streaming, gaming, scrolling.
It encourages individual activities.
It can, yes. Without conscious effort to balance it, it might lead to more time spent in, relative isolation, even if you feel connected online.
So bringing this all together, why is tackling loneliness so crucial, especially in our cities? The link to mental health seems undeniable.
It really is. The studies show a strong two-way street between loneliness and mental health. Loneliness can increase the risk for things like depression.
And depression can make it harder to connect.
Exactly. It can sap your energy for socializing. But here's a really hopeful finding from some research. Strong social connectedness seems to be an even better predictor of good mental health than just not being lonely.
So connection is actively protective.
It appears so, which really hammers home that basic human need for connection. The real antidote to loneliness isn't just being not lonely, it's genuine connectedness.
Connection with others, with yourself, with your community.
All of it. And one big hurdle is often the stigma. People feel ashamed to admit they're lonely, like it's a personal failing.
Right. Makes it hard to reach out.
Totally. So normalizing it, acknowledging we all need connection, that's vital. Checking in on people,
And the research pointed to things that work. Ways to build connection.
Yes. Lots of encouraging stuff. Community-led initiatives really shine things based around shared interests or just local neighborhood groups. They create natural reasons to interact.
Built-in belonging.
Kind of, yeah. And workplaces can play a role, too. Fostering a culture of care, maybe organizing group activities that aren't solely work-focused, supporting employees.
And what about connecting with yourself, if external connections are tough?
Also really important, self-compassion, being kind to yourself about feeling lonely, and finding things you genuinely enjoy doing alone. It's about navigating those periods healthily.
A walk, a movie, having a pet.
Sure. Things that bring comfort or joy, even when you're by yourself. It's part of maintaining well-being overall.
Okay, so wrapping up, it sounds like there's no magic bullet, no single perfect city designed to banish loneliness entirely.
No, probably not. It's too complex for that.
But we can be much more thoughtful, more intentional in how we design our spaces.
Definitely. Thinking consciously about, does this encourage interaction? Is it accessible? Is it safe? Does it help people feel like they belong?
Doing that can genuinely help foster connection and push back against loneliness in our communities.
Absolutely. But always remembering context matters. How you experience a place depends on your life, your background, everything.
Right. It's never one size fits all.
Never.
So for you listening, maybe a final thought to chew on, think about your own environment, your daily routines and spaces. What bits make it easier to connect with others? What makes it harder? And maybe ask yourself, are there any small changes, either to your surroundings or just how you interact with them, that could help build a bit more connection in your own life? Something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.